Hello and welcome back to another battle report from Taphacles. Blucher, an old favourite. We love this game and decided to try the full 300 points this time. We normally play 200 points. Wanted to try the effect of 300 points. And here you see the army list for the French. I can pause the video, have a proper look at that. Basically 3 corps. The things to note are there's an inspiring leader and they got a heroic leader with the cavalry who came in very useful. And we've gone for more artillery than we normally do. Roger's noticed on the forums that in the tournaments that people are going for lots of artillery. They've even had to put limits on the tournament games as people were taking 6 or more in a 200-point game. Well, I've got 5 in a 300-point game, and that seems a lot. Especially when you bear in mind we have our reload rules, whereby you can activate artillery individually and reload them, which with this many artillery might be a bit overpowered, but we'll see how that goes. And there's the Austrians, same sort of thing. Roger's gone for Austrians. They got all their fancy stuff, avant-garde, which cancels the skirmishes. Lots of fancy stuff, but by and large, you've both got 3 corps, similar armies, and set it. So this is what we've come up with. We've rolled for the scenery, as you normally do in the book. We roll for choice of terrain and where you place it, and then you have a roll off to see if you can move things. I've tried to get some hills further up to give a bit of cover for my advance, but they, due to the dice rolls, Roger managed to move them back again. So blinking fields covering lots of space in the middle to make advances more difficult and not much cover. And as usual, I've got an attacker. And you can see at the top of the screen there, that's the Austrian army strung out across the whole width of the table. 300 points, you can fill it, so why not? There's a large reserve in the middle. On my thoughts, and you can see how right I was, on the left there's a bit of space, and that would probably be the cavalry. And then the centre would be the infantry. You've got the march moves, so you can stick them wherever the threat's going to come from. And then probably some artillery in the front, along with whatever else. So my strategy here is really, as you can see, I've masked up. Well, you can't see because the cards are face down. If you could see the cards, I should take a picture with the cards face up. Ask my opponents to leave the room for a few minutes, just for these videos. Anyway, what we have here, on the far left, which you might have missed by now as the camera pans across, was one unit like cavalry. Their job is to just block that far left. And I'm always trying at the start of the game to get the reconnaissance in, spot the enemy, which removes their march move. And you can also see what you're shooting at. So in the centre, I've got the main block of infantry is that double row of 6. Their job is going to be march straight down the middle and take that hill. But first of all, I've got all this artillery. So that's in the front rank. It's just going to pound whatever's in the middle and make a hole for the infantry to follow up. The right-hand side is the other large corps of infantry, and their job is to just push up on that right flank as hard as they can, pressure, try and overwhelm the flank to the point where the reserves from the centre will have to come across to meet them. If they don't come across, they don't pull out the reserves, they'll just keep going. As soon as the centre starts to move across to meet the threat, then the main assault from through the middle will go, which hopefully the opposition by then will be softened up by the artillery. The cavalry are the left units you see in this central block, and they are really a threat. If whatever's at the top left-hand side comes sweeping down between the fields and the woods, they'll be able to charge them and stop them. I want to keep them hidden as long as possible, so I'm not really sure where they're going to be most useful. I'm hoping they'll be able to charge through the centre and join in the main assault. So that's the plan. Okay, here's an overview of the table. One of my little helpers with me. As you can see, you've got 2 blocks in the centre, cavalry on the left, infantry on the right. And on the right-hand side, turn 1, the main advance, the opening advance, is going up to try and commit that side. And all the way across, like cav, like cav, like cav, moving up to within spotting range, just to try and see what the enemy's got where and pin them, take away the march move. I think recon's very important in this game. So there you go, you can see the light cav up to the field. So you can now turn over all those cards. Assuming he's still alive at the beginning of the next turn. He can get destroyed. Okay, now the long shot, you can see the one in the middle doing the same thing, and there's one on the left doing the same thing. Now, I have revealed the artillery here because I was going to activate them. Not activate them, but during the shooting phase, use them to shoot. But I thought it's only half dice because everything's hidden. I don't need to start firing yet, so I changed my mind on that. I'm going to actually put the cards back on top of them, rather than put the figures away again. So I've shown my hand a bit, but really nothing to hide. The artillery's going to be blasting a hole through the middle. So on the left-hand side, the response from the Austrians is they've charged the light cav, so it's 6 dice on 6 dice in the far left. Try and push away around there. Not too worried, as it turned out the cavalry did okay. And that was it. Unfortunately, I rolled 6, which really stopped Roger doing anything, apart from that. So we fought that melee, and I took loads of pictures, but I've deleted them from the report to keep it a bit shorter. Nothing much happened on that far left. The cavalry went back and forth. I had the hero, which helped me rally. In the end, I committed 2 cavalry, and I think Roger committed about 2 cavalry. It never really went anywhere. The main fight is over on the right-hand side. Alright, now you can see that our trusty cotton wools show you where the enemy cannons have been revealed and are firing. And the poor old light cav, as always, takes hits. You don't want to be light cav in one of my armies. Whatever the game. So 2 hits, little red dots you can see on the central unit. 6 and they've gone, but still, they're going to do their job. Yeah, there's a bit more on the left, just to show we've won that combat. 1 red pip on French cav, 2 pips on the Austrians, which have retreated. And then they're going to get charged again and go back and forth. Right, meanwhile, there's an overview of the light cav getting blasted by all that artillery. But during the spotting phase, it does mean they can reveal these rather beautiful figures. I love the way he put me to shame on the painting, the amount he's done. And also you can see on the bases what units do, whether or not they're mixed or when they've got skirmishers. Artillery on the hill. I'm thinking, where's the rest of the artillery? Because he's got 4 lots of it. Only 1 visible there. And the one on the far right blasting with the light cav over here. So a quick overview so you can keep up what's going on. I'll say the centre is waiting and waiting to see if the right can push through and how much damage the artillery can do, which is now hidden back under the cards. But I do have some targets, so they can come into action this turn. Okay, so now you see the cotton wool. There's a 45-degree firing arc on the artillery, and they're blasting that left-hand unit on the hill. So 2 lots of artillery from this side. I've done 2 pips, and the 2 artillery on the right-hand side. I've done 2 pips on the infantry on the right. Now you've already seen I've got overwhelming numbers on that far right. The link, what do they call it, the hinge between the centre and the flank is that unit, which is now getting pounded by artillery. So I'm hoping to just blast a gap through there. It's just those fields again. It takes a while to get through the field. Okay, the cavalry have charged. I've left this pick in to show the infantry is starting to come up. And I was a bit concerned here that the flank assault would come this way. Because what I'd like to do is just commit a couple of units, the horse artillery and the light cav. And I reckon it could hold up that entire corps. Because it's difficult to move through there, there's not much room. And if the Austrians do get through, they're going to face a wall of artillery and heavy cavalry. So I'm fine with that. Okay, so you can see the red dots really starting to appear now as the artillery does another round of shooting and is going to start ripping some holes in the Austrian defences. And I can see the difference when you start massing artillery, what a difference it makes to this game. A bit concerning. Normally in our games, artillery is a minor factor. In this, you can really blast a hole. So I've got 4, and I even unlimbered the horse artillery and got them shooting as well. Just to clarify, over the right-hand side, you can see the guns that are firing and the little white puffs of where the shells are landing. And also you see that the infantry is already up to the field. They're pushing on hard. And I've got, 6 units pushing on against 3. The light cav are facing off against the light cav. I've actually got more, sorry, it's 5 infantry with more coming through the woods. So it should be able to overwhelm that flank. And the only way to stop it I can see is for the Austrians to draw off some reserves over to that flank, or just give the flank up and retreat. As soon as I see the stuff in the middle moving away, I think it's time to launch the main assault. Okay, so here's a close-up of the poor old Austrian unit standing there getting shot up. Red pips start to appear. It's almost gone. I think that says it's down to 1 remaining casualty point. Oh, here we go. And there's the card for the horse artillery. They come onto the left of the battery, and they're taking pot shots over onto the left-hand side with his Austrian infantry a bit stuck doing nothing, apart from standing there catching cannonballs for the whole game. There is a unit advancing through the wood. I don't think they got much hope. I'm a light cav. I'm going to try and make the dash for glory, get behind enemy lines, and reveal the entire Austrian reserve in the centre, which will stop their march moving to get to the critical points. Yeah, you might have a glorious life in the light cav, one of my armies, but it's a short one. Okay, quick overview position. Left-hand side, you can see that daring light cav about to sweep through in front of the guns, trying to reveal the reserve. The shooting has started on the right, little puffs of smoke as the infantry are exchanging fire. The Austrians are weakening and they're outnumbered, and the artillery is pounding them. What has appeared on the left, so I should have mentioned it, is one of the other artillery blasting up that light cav. Seeing the artillery fire, I quite like the little cotton wools. And what I've started doing as well is actually stretching the cotton wools out so they point towards their target. So that'll be useful in the future. I think I didn't bring arrows with me. Why not use those? So you see the part of the right-hand corps is actually wheeled into the centre because they've taken damage from the artillery and the shooting starting. So you're going to push straight through into that reserve. Can't quite see them due to the screening of the front unit. Alright, so there's that right-hand flank assault starting to develop. The light cav is screening the infantry on the right. Going to have a little tussle with those, and then just going to try and win the shooting war with the artillery support. And this is, I once again rolled a nice low roll for poor Dodger. Not much chance to react. In fact, I have to say, yeah, pretty lousy douse all game. On activations, shooting, melees, everything. Which doesn't help in any game. So now it's starting to be worrying times on this flank for the Austrians as this assault really starts to push through. Got through the wood, which slowed things up. Took the trees off in the bottom right-hand corner, just so you can see the units for that green patch is a wood, as you know. So we're pushing up. Cavalry going to engage the cavalry, and the infantry overwhelm the infantry. And here's the situation with those daring light cavalry. And they've revealed 2 artillery units. The artillery came out of reserve and joined the shooting there to stop this light cav. I don't know, I have to think it's to my mind, it's taken them out of the game, and that light cav has just earned his points times 10 and kept the artillery from blasting up my assault through the centre. So they went to survive, unfortunately, but it would have been nice if they had sneaked through as well. Still. And is on the left-hand side, see the 4 dots appearing. That's a combination of musketry and artillery has finally removed that unit. And the unit in the centre is starting to get removed through shooting. I'm going to push through on the right and engage the cavalry. As you can see, cavalry melee on the right. More infantry and Austrian defenders starting to disappear now. The French got the skirmisher bonus, which helps, and just numbers really. So there's the cavalry melee, 6 dice each. I'm on white dice today. Although it should be the Austrian should be white really, but there you go. So we managed to win 4-3. 4's count in melees. Push the cavalry back, as you can see up in the top right hand corner, and the infantry. I can do the follow up now and then get 3-1 infantry against that unit. Is the plan. The only thing is if I follow up too far, I need to keep things within 1 base width for the core activation. That's really going fine. As you can see, the shooting and overwhelming on this right hand flank. So I'm really starting to ask questions now. I think the Austrians, are you going to bring some of that central reserve to this flank? Or are you just going to lose the flank? I still think actually retreating might have been the best. Just give the ground. Keep drawing me further away from my reserves. And at some point unleashing the cavalry. So you realise the reserve must be cavalry. And you can see more red dots and spaces appearing there. Oh, just a quick update on what's happening on the left-hand flank. The heroic general has caused units to rally. And we charge back in again to set the dragoons over. So we end up committing 2 units of cav to keep that left flank secure. As much as anything, I don't want a cavalry unit coming round and spotting on my main assaults and stopping them from having their march move. but it's not really a big part of the battle. And we've gone stomping in there, and actually lost the melee. 7 dice against 5. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Right, the only problem with venturing a bit too close to that Austrian reserve is it did put them within charge range, and of course some of the reserve was heavy cavalry, and they've gone thundering through. You can see them in white, so they're bashing up that unit at the front left of the field, and there's more cavalry going to charge in on the right as well. So I've committed the reserve to this flank, as was the plan, but unfortunately the heavy cavalry against unprepared infantry, it could be quite a painful lesson for them. But there we are. That's what revolutionary French are for. Chuck them in. They're fearless. They get chopped up until the enemy gets tired or runs out of ammunition, and then we just overwhelm them. And the artillery's still banging away. As it turned out, got some pretty good rolls and didn't do too badly anyway. You see the shooting. The artillery destroyed that heroic like cavalry that was trying to sneak around the back. Well, what a great way to go. Yeah, it went remarkably well actually, because the infantry unit there got 5 dice, and because they're unprepared, charged by cavalry, have to re-roll hits, and even after re-rolls they got 3 of them, which is more than the cavalry managed, which knocks them back 2 base widths, although the rules specify it's still within shooting range. So the unit they charge can shoot, the unit in the field can shoot, another unit coming forward. That cavalry's suddenly having a bad day. I did have good luck there, there's no denying it. Less dice and re-rolling. They shouldn't have won that. It wouldn't have been a complete disaster if they'd lost, because I think the artillery would have stuck into those heavy cavalry. So you see another unit starting to come across now, and as this flank collapses, it's a case of try and get units out before taking too many casualties. So some of the Austrians are being removed so as not to count as casualties. And you see the pips starting to build up on that one defender on the right. Might be an idea to get him out as well. But you need the activations. You know, you look at it and say, why not move them? Why not move them? I consistently managed to roll 10 or less on 3 dice for every activation. So Roger was reduced to using the general activation, plonking the general down and activating everything within 2. Alright, so there's that. Lots of red dots appearing and Austrians disappearing. Alright, quick overview. When it pause to have a look, see the cavalry stand off on the left. Infantry, Austrian infantry coming around the side of that field and getting shot by the horse artillery. And then that centre right getting pounded by effectively 4 lots of artillery, plus a whole corps of infantry coming through. More good luck for the French as they chase the cavalry off on the right flank. It was 6 against 6. Just kept pushing them back. That French cavalry on the right were awesome. They just kept winning and winning and winning. So you can see that flank is just about done now. And there's some reserves still left to come on. So it cries of Vive la Revolution. The big mass columns of French infantry start to make their advance down the centre. You can see the cards moving up. They're going to be infantry. Still got heavy cavalry in reserve in his back left. The plan is to push the infantry up, make a little gap to screen the heavy cavalry which will come in and be protected. And it'll be a combined charge down the middle. The artillery is running out of ammunition anyway, and really it's time for the infantry to move in and finish them. So there they are, the lovely columns. They're great little figures. You've got the long hair and the bicorns. Yeah, it's easy to think all Napoleonics are fought in shakos, but I love these. Great collection Roger's done. And he's got enough figures to base these specifically for Blucher, which I think is worth doing if you've got the figures and the time to do it. It does add something. And you see the top right hand corner, that flank is really starting to collapse in now. Yeah, there's a better picture of that. Reserves are starting to be committed, the cavalry coming out, but there's not much you can do to save it from there really. Just a look at what's going on. You can see all these revolutionary French units going in with their nice banners. And just overwhelming defenders. Although the heavy cavalry is coming out of reserve, so the white markers you see are the French infantry going on prepared. I don't know if it's forming squares or whatever, but they're preparing to face cavalry. So that was the plan. It's the timing's worked out beautifully. Commit the reserve to this flank, and then just pin them down while the main assault goes through the middle. It's just that this flank attack went much better than expected. Alright, so a quick overview of that. There's now no Austrian reserve as such. They're all committed to the right. just as these columns come through the middle. Oh yeah, and this picture's to show that what I've done is split off the first 3 units of French infantry in the centre to create a hole for the cavalry to come diving in. And unfortunately didn't roll, or Roger didn't roll enough activation points for me. So that backfired. Just ended up splitting their corps. So 1 facing the wood, 3 facing forwards, which is supposed to have the heavy cavalry directly behind them to charge through. But the cavalry didn't turn up. But there's not much left on that hill anyway now. And with the overwhelming right-hand flank, I can see which way. It's a matter of, can this game be won before the time limit? There's plenty of turns left. So there's an overview if you fancy look at that, just to see the right flank really starting to come round. And a fair chunk of the Austrian army never really got involved on the left. Just didn't get the activation points to get them in. Okay, and the French infantry, all those red pips appearing, are Austrian units, again shotting up and disappearing. And that heroic cavalry on the top right has destroyed 1 cavalry unit. Has now taken another one on and just keeps seeing them off as well. So they deserve to rest rather than keep getting charged by fresh cavalry units. So I've taken this overview shot. Really is getting towards the situation where I see what the Austrians can do. Sorry about the box on the middle of the picture there. Of course, just so you think it's all over, in come this heavy cavalry straight down the middle. You see all those red dots. They get absolute pounding this turn. Through cavalry charges and shooting and everything else. But it's reached the stage where it can really afford to take those casualties. As long as they don't break, I don't mind moving them out the way. Still got artillery in the centre to blast that cavalry. And you notice bottom left-hand corner of the picture, here come the French heavy cavalry. Johnny on the spot, ready to countercharge the heavy cav and up the hill if needed. So there's the main assaults. See the French units, all the red dots, fleeing from the Austrians. Unfortunately, the way they have to flee puts the 1 unit in front of the cannons. But anyways, 2 units of fresh, heavy cavalry with shock French, getting 8 dice, dying for a chance to get stuck into the Austrians. Yep, so the Austrian cavalry, as you can see, being holed here, getting seen off. And generally, that's the middle gone. And that cavalry also gets seen off there. The artillery fire, as you can see from the bottom of the screen. And there's just so many fresh units. It always seems that the French massively outnumber the Austrians. I do fancy having another go and turning it around. The overwhelming numbers just are worth so much. But I also think getting the artillery into play early and so effectively to make a hole through the middle. Whereas half the Austrian artillery was stuck at the top left. We did manage to drive some of it out and even destroy some on the right by infantry attack. So, okay, there's an overview. There are some more slides. But really, that's the situation with the artillery, see, banging away, making holes. And just massive infantry, and now the heavy cavalry joining in as well. As you can see there, just to rub salt in the wound, the heavy cavalry show that's how you do it. They charged in, won by 4. Destroyed the unit against those. So even on this side now, there's holes everywhere. Ta-da! Yeah, 2 units on the hill are not going to stop that lot. There's only 2 units stopping the right flank. Yeah, with the cavalry, the remaining Austrian cavalry surrounded, being shot to pieces. So really that was a handsome victory for the French. Only lost that brave suicidal unit of light cav on the left. Maybe 1 more unit. I think that was about it, really. So it was quite a crushing win for the French this time, as does seem to be the case once you get those big columns moving forward, especially with the extra artillery. I don't know. We talked about it and thought 300 points didn't seem a lot better than 200 points. It just took longer, and there was a lot more units to move. Didn't feel tactically that different. The biggest difference was the extra artillery that we used. I did roll, pretty well. 4 or 5 dice most shots. Always seem to get 1 hit. Just keep getting 1 hit. So all you need to do makes a big difference. And we didn't play this with that with heavy artillery. With heavy artillery, when you're hitting on the 5s as well, it must be devastating. And I can see why people go for 6 lots of artillery with the upgrades. So I can understand the discussion, if you like. I don't know if there's controversy yet about the value of artillery. I'd like to have another go at this one. The reload rules as well really do make them too much. I fancy go with the Austrians, maybe try something different. It is hard to defend against this French juggernaut. So my plans next go, if Roger's willing, I'll have a go with the Austrians and defend. And my plan is very much to use the like Cav, and Cav as a screen, and my unit as far back as possible, keeping the march move option to then react to where the French assaults seem to come from. I think reconnaissance is a real key on these Blucher games, and not deploying for as long as you possibly can. So there we are, my cards are open on the table. You can see where someone deploys, because defenders deploy first anyway. But please let me know what you think of that tactic, how you go around beating it, and how you think this game well. And so all feedback appreciated, and hopefully we'll get that one up soon. And to the strongest tournament next week coming up. Lots of things going on. So we are. Hope you're having fun, and keep rolling.